Magcargo is one of the most critically acclaimed Pokemon of all time, a figure shrouded in much mystery and intrigue. Some players might stupidly consider Magcargo to be a bad Pokemon due to all of its disadvantages. Its dual typing is not good. Fire and rock are times 4 weak to the common water and ground types, and also various other things. Magcargo is also extremely slow. Not very threatening with only 80 special attack, and not very good at anything really, due to low HP and a typing that leaves it wide open to every attack of all time, diminishing the value of its one good stat, defense. It also doesn't have very many good moves with which to achieve value. So what does Magcargo have going for it? Well, what most fail to consider is that as of today, it is now the year of the Fire Horse in the Chinese lunar solar calendar. And the Fire Horse in question? Magcargo. Yes, everybody knows that Magcargo learns the move High Horsepower, which means that it is a horse. And he's a fire type. The evidence is very clear. And this means that as of right now, Magcargo is the most auspicious Pokemon in the entire Pokedex. You can lead a horse to water, folks, but in this case I hope that Magcargo stays far away from that water, due to its times 4 weakness. Why don't we take a look at Magcargo's impressive career over the years, and what the future might hold for this highly auspicious Pokemon, now that it's his year and everything. Magcargo first came into existence in the Generation 2 games, a monumental event for the franchise. Now for some reason, Magcargo appears to be ranked in the PU tier in Generation 2, which is a very low tier rank, which would suggest that the Pokemon is not great. Kinda weird. But if I were to hazard a guess as to why this is the case, it could be due to the fact that Magcargo has poor matchups against various common Pokemon in Gen 2 OU, and also doesn't really provide a lot to teams. That could be a reason. Remember folks that the top Pokemon in the game is Snorlax, and although Magcargo does resist normal type thanks to its solid rock shell, very useful, it is times 4 weak to ground, remember, and Snorlax commonly carries the move Earthquake, and in a terrible turn of events, Snorlax also sometimes carries the move Surf as mixed coverage to hit Rhydon and Golem, who are popular Gen 2 OU rock types. And Magcargo is getting caught in the very same tsunami that is bringing Golem and Rhydon to an early watery grave. Very terrible news. Speaking of Golem and Rhydon, there's no reason not to just use these guys in OU when Magcargo's fire typing provides little beyond perhaps a bit more damage against Skarmory, but funnily enough, Golem can carry Fire Blast to hit Skarmory well enough, so that's not even a problem. In another cruel twist of fate, it is common for electric types to carry Hidden Power Water in this generation, also to hit Golem and Rhydon, and Magcargo is hit by that as well. I think that society is very unfair to Magcargo at this point, but due to these unfortunate conditions, Magcargo is not ever used. I don't think I've ever seen it be used in OU. Very surprising stuff. However, down in the PU tier, Magcargo is a bit of a celebrity. Magcargo actually has a claim to fame in the low tier of Gen 2 PU. Do you know why, folks? Well, there was a time when the Pokemon Forret was legal to use in Gen 2 PU, and it was by far the best Pokemon in this format. That might sound crazy, but this is a lower tier, where the average stats are not what they are in OU. Forret was a cut above everything else with its high speed and good move pool, and similar options to Snorlax actually in OU. It's like a mini Snorlax. And one of the few things that could check Forret was Magcargo. This Forret would currently use a Curse boost sweeping set, and Magcargo, with its good old normal resistance and high defense, as well as decent damage output from its fire stab, was able to nicely answer Forret. A very important box to tick at the time. Forret did eventually end up getting banned from Gen 2 PU, but Magcargo holds a Medal of Honor as a hero to many during the Forret crisis. A trying time for all involved. And in current Gen 2 PU, I think Magcargo is still pretty good. It checks such powerful threats as Golbat and Bayleaf. Its defense stat is quite above average for the power level, and it is able to leverage that pretty well in this environment, which I consider to be very admirable and very auspicious. Now in Gen 3, Magcargo got an unbelievable new buff. They added abilities to the game, And Magcargo got a very fitting one, the ability Flame Body. Makes total sense, look at the guy. Flame Body is a good ability. Anytime a Pokemon makes physical contact with Magcargo, there is a 1 in 3 chance that they will be burned, a high impact status effect. Now if you're more of a magma kind of person, as some people are, some people enjoy magma, Magcargo also gets the incredible ability Magma Armor, granting an immunity to being frozen. Another very logical ability for Magcargo. How could you freeze this creature made of pure magma? It just can't be done. And when it comes to Magcargo in Gen 3, there is a mystery that scientists have been trying to wrap their mind around for years, and that is the fact that Magcargo is yet again ranked in the PU tier despite receiving the new ability Magma Armor. It doesn't really add up, but it could be, it's my personal theory, could be due to the fact that Gen 3 OU features a lot of new Pokemon that threaten Magcargo with lethal force, and also Magcargo has limited good matchups in the format too, and not very much to offer. That's my current leading theory. You see, Magcargo is under fire from many more water and ground type attacks. It was already very common to see these attacks, but now you have Swampert, who is a literal water ground type. Terrible news for our favorite fire horse snail creature. There is also Tyranitar, another Earthquake utilizer. We've got Salamence using Earthquake, we've got Metagross using Earthquake, we've got just about every relevant physical attacking Pokemon using Earthquake. There's Flygon, there's Reginald Rock even. Reginald Rock can get Earthquake. Everybody gets Earthquake in this damn tier. Many of them get Surf. Damia's everywhere with its Hydro Pump and Surf. And worst of all is the presence of Dugtrio, who traps you on the field and clicks Earthquake, so Magcargo doesn't even have the decency of being allowed to leave. He must sit and perish with no possible chance of counterplay. Now, despite all of these disadvantages, I have personally utilized Magcargo in Gen 3 OU anyway, despite everybody telling me not to do it because it's a stupid idea. And I have won some battles with Magcargo before. I won't tell you my overall win rate, that's something I will keep private, but I have won battles with Magcargo. I'll tell you what Magcargo is able to do. Magcargo is okay at switching in against Gengar if you invite them to click Will-O-Wisp or Ice Punch, because of course Magcargo is immune to being burned, and it resists Ice Punch. Also, Ice Punch makes physical contact with Magcargo and you have a chance to burn the enemy Gengar. From there you can select the nice moves Overheat, which does pretty good damage with its high power, or perhaps Toxic, to poison something, and this can achieve value. Magcargo also has the incredible benefit of being immune to Sandstorm chip damage due to its rock typing, an outstanding boon, a very sought after trait. Magcargo also can beat Snorlax sometimes if they don't have Earthquake. Now, a lot of Snorlaxes have Earthquake, it's pretty common, but sometimes they don't, and if they don't, in comes Magcargo to save the day. Likely proc Flame Body if they're clicking Body Slam, and shrugging off Shadow Ball as well. Plus Magcargo can hit them with the big Overheat, or Flamethrower. Magcargo is also pretty good at switching in against Moltres due to its burn immunity and fire resistance and the ability to Toxic the Moltres. You could run Rock Slide. I think Toxic is a bit better because it's more useful on switch outs and it does enough damage to Moltres generally. If they choose to stay, you of course resist fire and shrug off Hidden Power Grass too, which is the common coverage. Now, unfortunately, Magcargo kind of stinks against Charizard, because if they substitute, you can't really do anything to them, and also, they can carry Focus Punch, which would hit you. And they can't even get affected by Flame Body, because they are a Fire type. But if they're not substitute Charizard, maybe you can switch in and Toxic them, if the stars align and it's your lucky day. Now, a lot of people are currently screaming at me and saying, Jim, why wouldn't you just run Camerupt for this? Camerupt, by the way, also not that good, but can do all of these things I'm saying Magcargo can do. It can switch in against Gengar very well, it can switch in against Moltres decently well, and it also switches in against other electric types like Zapdos and Jolteon. But I suppose Magcargo has the Flame Body for a chance at success where Camerupt could not. Plus, Magcargo resists normal, meaning it could also, by the way, switch in against an Aerodactyl locked into Double Edge, and possibly hit them with the Flame Body. Can we please give Magcargo a round of applause for this incredible fringe case where it could punish Aerodactyl? I really want to emphasize that this is highly important to me. I've found that the real value of Magcargo in Gen 3 OU is that it does a surprising amount of things for a Pokemon that seems so bad, so it's pretty good at achieving surprise value. And that is probably the reason I have won with it, is because people look at it and think nothing of it, and then it ends up switching in on a Will-O-Wisp and achieving a Toxic, which is more than they expected. More than they expected. But of course, the Pokemon is clearly not very good due to all of the shortcomings it has in the poor matchups against everything of all time. In the Gen 3 PU tier, Magcargo also has a terrible matchup it has to contend with. The Trapinch matchup. Trapinch is in Gen 3 PU, and this guy has Arena Trap to trap Magcargo on the field, preventing it from exiting and hitting it with a lethal Earthquake. I mean, for goodness sake, you're suffering from this in OU with Doug Trio, and now it's happening again in PU. Can Magcargo please stop being kicked while he is down? Give this guy a break, for goodness sake. In the next generation, Generation 4, I would like everybody in the audience to give Magcargo a resounding woohoo and a round of applause for climbing up in the ranks from the PU tier to the NU tier. That's one tier higher. Can we please congratulate our favorite horse for this astronomical achievement? Magcargo was buffed in Gen 4 with various new tools. Magcargo gained the ever-valuable option of Stealth Rock, the all-new most powerful move in the game, an entry hazard that deals rock-based damage to opponents. That's a great get. Magcargo got the move Recover to simply heal itself straightforwardly, a great healing option. Magcargo also got the new move Lava Plume, a fire-type special attack that can inflict burn. A very good move for defensive fire types. Magcargo also got Will-O-Wisp to just set burn directly if it prefers. Another excellent new tool. And all of this was enough to raise Magcargo's ranking up to the NU tier. And you know what else is unbelievable? According to this Smogon analysis, and I don't know if this is up to date or what, but I'm going to choose to believe that it is. According to this Smogon analysis, Magcargo has a niche in Gen 4 UU. Yes, you heard that correctly. Magcargo has a damn niche in Gen 4 UU. These are things that were previously only dreamed of. Magcargo can actually defensively answer some Pokemon in Gen 4 UU. Can you believe it? Magcargo is good against Swallow, who usually uses normal and flying type attacks, both of which are resisted by Magcargo, and doesn't actually have any good coverage to hit Magcargo with. Magcargo, with its high defense and access to Stealth Rock and Recovery, can abuse Swallow to achieve its own agenda. Very tactical, very smart. Magcargo also has a pretty good matchup against Ambipom. Ambipom can get the move Low Kick, but Low Kick actually does not outdamage a Magcargo simply spamming Recover and getting leftovers chip healing, and Ambipom needs Life Orb for damage, so it would be slowly damaging itself down with the Life Orb if it were to go for this 1v1, and also opening up the possibility of a Flame Body Burn, which would ruin its career instantly. Ambipom and Swallow are quite common, so this gives Magcargo a real reason to exist in this format. On top of that, Choice Band Kangaskhan and Choice Band Tauros can also be used. And if these Pokemon are locked into a normal type attack, Magcargo comes in to save the day. Possibly burn them and set its valuable Stealth Rock or even fish for Lava Plume burns on switch outs. Do you know who else Magcargo has a positive matchup against in Gen 4 UU? Arcanine. Arcanine, another common Pokemon here that doesn't really have anything good to hit Magcargo with. Flare Blitz is its big damaging move. Magcargo ×4 resist. Extreme Speed, not going to do very much, and none of its coverage is super effective. Magcargo, with its high defense, recovery, and Hidden Power Rock for stab special damage that is super effective, will easily defeat Arcanine. And much like in Gen 3, Magcargo also matches up well against Moltres, another UU Pokemon. And now that Hidden Power Rock is a special attack, Magcargo using that can actually threaten the Moltres more directly. I would go as far as to call Magcargo the most impressive Pokemon in all of Gen 4. A bold claim, but I think the evidence speaks for itself. In Generation 5, the Pokemon Company failed Magcargo Nation. They failed us. As many of you know, in Gen 5, various Pokemon received new hidden abilities to breathe some new life into them, give them some new tools to work with. So what did they give Magcargo? Well, they gave it the ability Weak Armor as a new option. A terrible choice that does not help Magcargo at all. If a physical attack hits this Pokemon, defense is lowered by 1 and speed is raised by 1. I believe it was changed to a +2 speed increase in later generations, but regardless, this is just a bad ability on Magcargo. Does not play to the Pokemon's strengths at all, and you would rather use Flame Body pretty much all of the time. And the weakness of this weak armor addition rippled throughout the game and led to Magcargo's return to the PU tier. While Gen 4 gave Magcargo much to be excited about, many new tools, Gen 5 gave Magcargo little and it lagged behind, as you would expect. A real blemish on the Pokemon Company's career, and something that most Magcargo heads have still not forgiven. At least Magcargo could still fill its famous niche of defeating Swellow, because they are both legal in the same tier. Swellow is ranked NU, and Magcargo can still be used in the NU tier to defeat Swellow, and that's good. Magcargo also matches up well against Charizard in this tier, another common Pokemon. However, even in the NU tier, Magcargo is not very good. Even in the low tiers, Magcargo is starting to lag behind the competition. I don't blame Magcargo, I blame the company who created him and brought him into existence and didn't help him. He needs support and you weren't there for him. So how can you blame this creature who has done nothing wrong in its life and you have neglected his needs and his interests? And you went and gave Politoed Drizzle and you gave what did you give Magcargo? A little frog is deserving of your divine blessing and Magcargo is not? Why didn't you give Magcargo Drizzle? Why didn't you give it? It would have made as much sense. It would have made as much sense. You cowards who make this game. In Generation 6, Magcargo's prestigious ranking of PU suddenly felt like the height of its career and something to yearn for once again, because in Generation 6, Magcargo fell to the lowest possible tier of ZU. And even in ZU, it's not very good. This is a true low point for our favorite horse. Now, I have found a Gen 6 ZU tournament game where Magcargo was used. This is incredible. I have found a battle where a tournament player chose to use Magcargo alongside such heavy hitters as Kricketune and Murkrow, and this is going to be great in the Dustox matchup, I'm sure. So why don't we take a look? Why don't we skip to where Magcargo comes in? Kricketune lead, of course. Let's just skip ahead here to the part that's relevant to me. And it would seem that Magcargo is failing to hit the field ever. Until perhaps... There's 2 more Pokemon left. And in comes Magcargo. Right now, surely. Is Magcargo coming in? Indeed it is. And here's Magcargo taking Stealth Rock. It's got a balloon on. It's not going to take any damage. And Magcargo appears to be dead instantly. And it would seem that Ruffles has lost the battle. And Magcargo didn't do anything. Well, very interesting. Very interesting. So what I've learned is that if you bring Magcargo in Gen 6 ZU, you have a 100% chance to lose. That doesn't bode well for Magcargo fans worldwide. No, it does not. Now, at least I could find an example of someone using Magcargo in Gen 6 ZU, because in Gen 7 ZU, I could find no recorded examples of Magcargo ever being used on the tournament, let alone the ladder, where high-level players aren't even gaming. No one's even using Magcargo for fun in Gen 7 ZU that I could find. Now, I am aware I should bring attention to the fact that Magcargo now learns Shell Smash. I think it learned this a couple of generations ago, actually. But Shell Smash has always been a really bad option on Magcargo. It's a great boosting move, but Magcargo's special attack and speed are simply too low to take very good advantage of this. Plus, it dies so easily to absolutely anything. So the likelihood of Shell Smash working out for you is very low. There are far better Shell Smash users. Now, Gen 8 is largely considered the worst generation of Pokemon, and this is for one main reason. And that is the fact that they cut Magcargo from the game, and Magcargo is not obtainable or usable in these video games. They're telling me this is a billion-dollar franchise, and yet they get away with such short-sighted decision-making like removing Magcargo from the game. It doesn't really add up to me. I mean, what are they doing? Who is in charge? You know who I bet it was? I bet it was Swellow who orchestrated this whole thing. There aren't that many people out there who hate Magcargo, but Swellow does. Swellow can't even touch Magcargo with any of its moves and gets countered by it. This would make sense. I'm starting to put the pieces together. Yet ironically, Swellow was also not in Gen 8, perhaps due to corruption. Due to universal backlash after the Gen 8 incident, Magcargo was added back to the franchise in Generation 9. And not only was it added back to the franchise, to uproarious applause, a triumphant return, Magcargo was given its most notable buff yet in the history of its entire existence. This is when they decided to give Magcargo the very important option of high horsepower. Now, of course, in combat, this is not very useful. It's a 95 power ground type attack. Magcargo has a low attack stat. But this was a big shift in Magcargo's identity and perception, and it confirmed something that many theorized for years, that Magcargo is in fact a horse. With its horse status no longer being in contention, for most anyway, Magcargo made a significant career pivot from a battler to a politician. This is when Magcargo's political career really took off. Magcargo leveraged its new horse status to join the prestigious institution of the Horse Council. And all of the suffering Magcargo had to endure in its Pokemon battling career, with generation after generation of punishment, meant that Magcargo was right at home in the cutthroat political landscape of the Horse Council in fighting. And with smart strategic maneuvers, Magcargo came out on top, eventually climbing the ladder and being crowned Chief Horse. And this was not even when the Year of the Fire Horse began, by the way. So now that it is the Year of the Fire Horse, not only will Magcargo be able to leverage its powerful political position, but it has been said for centuries that in this auspicious year, Magcargo will achieve its final form. The Magcargo Horse Prime form will be activated during the Year of the Fire Horse, meaning it will finally achieve the combat strength it never could in past years. The ramifications of this are not predictable by me or anyone. All I know is that this will be a significant shift in society at large, and it would be smart of you to brace yourself for the coming impact. That's all I will say. Beyond all of that stuff, though, in Gen 9 ZU, it would appear that Magcargo has never been worse. I've been told that Magcargo is paling in comparison to Raboot in this format. Raboot is the middle stage evolution of the Scorbunny line, and that's quite a pathetic display. Yes, Magcargo can Terra now, but why would you Terra on Magcargo instead of anything else? I also invented my own Gen 9 format called Horse Used, where only horse Pokemon were allowed to be used. Magcargo featured in that format, and even there, in the horse format, it was not very good in combat. And most that used it seemed to not get a lot out of it. Which is a terrible shame, but as we've established, there are more important things than your combat prowess in Gen 9 ZU, and Magcargo's influence extends far beyond just this simple game for children. He's playing a much larger chess game that most, like Raboot, wouldn't understand. Raboot doesn't know the half of what Magcargo puts up with. Despite Magcargo having so many shortcomings, I am very fond of this Pokemon. I like it quite a bit. It is silly, and it feels as if everything has been stacked against this Pokemon from the beginning, with its dreadful typing, low stats, and very little to offer, even back in Gen 2. The fact that this Pokemon has achieved anything whatsoever is a miracle. It's a stretch to say that it has, admittedly, but I would consider it niche in Gen 4 UU to be very impressive given the circumstances for this Fire Horse Snail, who has been neglected in ways that few can imagine. And not only did they cut Magcargo from the game in Gen 8, they literally didn't even make Mega Magcargo in Legends ZA or the Legends ZA DLC, which was a huge mistake. They made Mega Lucario 5 instead of Mega Magcargo. I mean, the fans are furious. The fans will not forgive this. Believe me, I know the fans very well, and they will not allow this to slip through the cracks yet again. But with the new Year of the Fire Horse in effect, I have had for once an excuse to shed some light on one of my favorite Pokemon, who is scarcely talked about ever in the competitive context. Because why would anyone discuss this bad Fire Rock type that doesn't do anything? I am the one who must take up the mantle and give Magcargo his year. Happy Chinese New Year, everybody. The Year of the Fire Horse is the most auspicious year yet recorded. Chunjie Kuai Le, everybody, to all Magcargo fans globally. And thank you very much for watching.